Andy Kessler, you've said that the only way to build wealth, to save our economy, is to create productivity. When it comes to technology, what is the relationship between what's going on in broadband, in network neutrality, and the creation of productivity in the United States?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. I mean, if you go through the history of Silicon Valley, it's mostly been in these unregulated businesses, right? You build a computer and you change the world. You change the whole back office of companies and you create what's on people's desktop, et cetera. But as soon as those machines got connected, all of a sudden you had to deal with AT&T or cable companies or wireless spectrum or satellites and all those kind of things controlled out of an office in the FCC buried in the bowels of Washington. And the problem is they have no idea of what creates growth. I mean, they're about allocating scarce resources, like bandwidth is scarce, when the reality of it is bandwidth is plentiful, it's all over the place. They make it scarce by putting it in a tiny little pocket.
What do you mean bandwidth is plentiful? I mean, I never noticed it when I walked down the street. What does that mean?
Well, bandwidth is plentiful, meaning that you can put another Cisco router or another cellular tower and double or 10x the amount of bandwidth that exists for your connection at home or your connection at business. The problem is the economics of that don't quite work. So Comcast or AT&T are in no big hurry to put in all this extra bandwidth because they still want to milk their old media-related businesses. AT&T still wants to charge you per minute for phone calls or per text for text messages. Comcast wants to charge you $50 a month, most people $100 a month, to watch Animal Planet and the Discovery Channel and HBO and all those things. When in reality, you and I know that with Skype, you can get phone calls for 0 cents a minute. And with BitTorrent or other streaming services.
BitTorrent? What's BitTorrent? I hope you're not using that.
And whether it's pirated or services, you can stream and pay for only what you watch rather than the smorgasbord of garbage that the companies are feeding us.
But is this a little too comfortable for our audience to hear? We all like this idea, but what about the notion that it costs a significant amount of money to invest in infrastructure? I've used Verizon's Fios network. It's remarkable, but it cost them $25 billion to put those cables down. I mean, surely that isn't an easy thing to do, that it requires a large company like a Verizon, an AT&T, or a Comcast to accomplish.
Yeah, but I liken it to Silicon Valley. Cisco invented their next big router. I think the BFR, which stands for Big Effin' Router, right? And they spent like $700 million or $1 billion on this. And they didn't have a single order for it. There was their R&D that went and did it. Verizon, on the other hand, says, we're going to spend $25 billion. We'd like to get the $25 billion back, guaranteed, plus some rate of return on it. That's the regulatory mentality. And so what they do is they're obstructionists. They go and they create, they want to charge different things for different users. And so the computer guys, whether it's Google or anyone else, says, no, we want network neutrality. We don't want you to touch any of our applications. We want them to all go through. And so there's this battle raging in network neutrality, right? Between those that create the applications and are free riding, arguably, on the Verizons and Comcast and AT&Ts. Of course, Google Pay is a huge bandwidth bill themselves. But, and those guys that want to control things. And my view is competition will solve the network neutrality debate. If AT&T wants to charge me $15 a month for 200 meg and $25 a month for 2 gig, which they are now on my iPhone, there's no more unlimited plans unless you're grandfathered in, that's fine, let them charge that. I'll just go to their competitor for the iPhone, which, oops, there is no competitor for the iPhone. If there was a competitor for the iPhone, if they wanted to charge that, then a second party or a third party or a fourth party would say, oh, Andy, come with us. We'll offer you what you want and don't worry about AT&T's self-impact of their crumbling voice minutes, et cetera. I think competition solves everything. Get rid of this regulated mentality and instill pro-competition.
But if competition does solve everything and you're in favor of network neutrality, isn't your position actually in favor of government legislation?
No, because, it's getting rid of
it's
layers
government
of regulation.
laws to protect competition. Is that what you're saying network neutrality
what laws
is?
are there except incorporation laws and even certain patent laws are competitive and should probably be more competitive. But no, competition is the pure marketplace. So a government should perhaps provide the guidelines for the same thing they do in stock markets. Make sure it's free and it's fair and it's transparent. And I think if you have that, then you'll have free markets, not just in the stock market, but in broadband. I mean, you can buy computers from anyone. Maybe you buy it from Apple because you like their system. And the Windows ones, you can buy Dell, you can buy Lenovo, you can buy whoever else. What laws are there protecting those? It's the marketplace.
Final question,
Yeah.
which I want an answer for in 10 seconds, because most people who watch the show only listen for 10 seconds. How important is network neutrality in terms of the future of technology? Is it just a confusing side issue, or is it fundamental?
No, I think it's very important. It's how you get there. You get there via competition rather than regulation.
That's your 10 seconds.